I got my 16, I got my 8, got my 8th arrowhead, I've got my half my letter height. I'm now using a technical Gothic font versus this kind of pixelated one. Everything is correct on it. So this is ANSI standards. Now, it's not going to be perfect for you, and we'll get over that later. But this is one I would use moving forward. This guy's going to handle most of what you need. If you were started with your template, I would suggest now you resave your template as a DWT, and it's there. If you didn't remember these variables and what we changed, we'll do this again. I can give you the list. I'm not even going to say it. If you know what they are, open your A template, go through them. Open your B template, go through them. Open your C template, go through them. Resave all of them. If you didn't, you can do it later. But that's a way to drive it home, right? These things are actually copyable through the design center. I would suggest you don't do it because you want to get these into your memory cells. Yes, sir.
When you put the dimension on there, is it going out to the, mine isn't, but is yours going out to the proper half inch to 3/8 inch?
No. No. We got a couple minutes. Let's address that issue. How do we get it off? We've got a few of you that had some CAD before. How were you taught to get these things off?
Get what off?
Okay, so what Cheryl's asking is that the first one should be a half inch off the object. Then we should go 3/8, 3/8, 3/8. I will tell you that we never changed the variable, but there is a variable that's set at the 3/8. Okay, it's the dim base. Now, we'll deal with that one in a second. First off, let's just, those of you that have had this before, or those of you that haven't, how would you get that a half inch off?
When you're in the...
Type 0.5.
Yeah.
Do what?
Type 0.5.
Okay, let's try it. So I'm going to do dim linear. Doesn't matter how you place it. I'll go ahead here and here, and I'm going to kind of just hold it up here, and I'm going to type 0.5. Now, once you get it placed, what you should use is the distance command to measure from the object to that arrowhead. And you can use your endpoint snap for it. Mine is 0.116.
Mine's 0.508.
Yours is what?
0.508.
0.508, you're pretty close.
0.49.
Okay, 0.49, you're within 100.
0.5.
Okay, 200s. How do we get this thing right on? Those of you that got close to 0.5, how'd you do it? Walk me through what you did, Majid, so that I can follow that. Okay. What'd you do?
Because you're measuring, Lisa.
Okay, so I got linear.
Here, select all. No, select all.
Okay, you did select all.
And then select the line.
Okay.
Take off and press 0.5.
Okay, now let me measure this. So I'm going to do DI, and I got from there to there, and I got 0.266.
Sometimes it changes, it does.
Yep, sometimes it does, right?
It's-
It
yeah,
does change, because I
it's
followed
set.
his instructions. He got 0.499, I got 0.266.
I got 0.5.
I did the same thing as Majid and I got 0.521.
Okay, so we're a quarter inch off, or actually 200ths. What's going on there? Remember the polar method of directing points? What does your mouse do? It controls direction, right? Because we can do at something at some angle, or we can just hold our cursor in a direction and type a distance and it's going where the cursor is. I kind of did it on purpose. I set jet mod yet, sorry. But when I clicked here, I drug my cursor over here. And so it went 0.5 in that direction. Okay.
So mine went perfect because I went 0.5.
Yes, you want to make sure you're lining this thing up. And you can do it very quick. A lot of people, they'll do offsets.
Yeah.
They'll take this line, offset it a half inch. That's probably the way you were taught, right?
Yeah.
From Alicia.
Mhm.
But the problem with that is then you gotta go back and make sure you delete all those offsets out. There's a quicker way, and that is pay attention to what's going on with your cursor. Okay? So the way I would suggest, and this is why I don't use the object or that shortcut to make it associative a lot of times, because if I do a dim linear, and I just use the enter key and I click here, notice my polar doesn't lock in. Okay? So I'm kind of forced coming, oh, well, I think I'm straight up here now. Okay? But if you do use the endpoints, like here, and I come up, now I've got this line right next to it. I can set my cursor right on it. Okay? And then I type 0.5, hit enter. Now if I measure this thing, okay, you'll see I am 0.504. I'm 4 thousandths. Nobody's ever going to see that. And you don't want to get too caught up in this. If you're, I think you're 499, you're 498, that's good enough. Okay? If you got a supervisor that comes and measures that and complains about that distance, then hey, take it with a grain of salt. You're working with a micromanager. So that will get them for you automatically. If you don't want to do that, you want to keep using that object, the way we do that, most people, is you do an offset before you dimension, and then you throw it off, and that gives you something to snap to. Okay? So then I would apply a dimension, okay, and here I can use the object one, and then just come up and just snap it to the line. Now, the one thing you got to do is you got to remember, there's an OBJ line underneath this.
Yeah.
And so you go to print it, and all of a sudden you've got one dimension line that's got this big old thick thing on it. You forgot to delete that line. Got to delete it. So once you get your first one, you're done. You can then click on that line right through there. I'm going to delete it. Now, if I go to do another linear dimension, okay, I can always snap to that arrowhead, and that will keep them going. Additionally, you have two other commands that you will see, and I'm not going to go over them right now. You got dim continue, which is right here. That one will stay at the same height if you're doing chain dimensioning. If you're doing datum dimensioning, you click that down, you got dim baseline, which will always set at 3/8. So you only got to get the first one right, and then you're set. Okay. So Cheryl, thanks for getting us on that rabbit trail. I think it's worthwhile doing it at this point. Other than that, I really don't have anything else I want to bring up at this point. I want to let you have time to go through text. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Wait, as again, the baseline, it goes, it'll go with 0.38 off the
Mhm.
first one?
Yep.
And that,
And it's annotated.
oh, okay.
Okay, so it's good to go. And you'll see that as you work through that command in the text. Any other questions? All right, folks, we need to get through these pretty quickly. Set yourself a schedule that you can get from chapter 16 through 20. Remember, 19 will take you all of 5 minutes. We're not going to do a lot in there. In fact, skip 19, I'll handle as part of lecture. So do 16, 17, 18, and 20. And you need to have all of those done within 3 days. You want to have all those done by 3 days.
Read them.
Read them, practice them. Just like you did in drafting 132
In this book? Or this?
in your AutoCAD book. What's listed in the syllabus. Those go with the AutoCAD book. So I would suggest you try and get through 2 today, 2 tomorrow, and that way you're ahead of the game. You only got 1 for the last day, because 20 is pretty long. You still have a drawing to deal with. Does anybody think assuming you take 3 hours, we've got 5 hours left of class today approximately. If you take 3 for the text, 2 for your drawing, does anybody envision not being able to meet that deadline tomorrow? Cheryl? Well, Cheryl, you gotta work extra.
Well, yeah, Charles.
She always does, though.
My normal,
Yeah, I know it.
he
I
pulls
know.
it out.
I'll be right here with you.
Since I asked the question, if you get to the end point, you don't think you're gonna meet that, I'm not too concerned, but I am gonna start giving you assignments on probably Wednesday. Okay, and you'll have time to work out of the text till then. One last thing on the printer, I switched that B sheet into tray 3, and it seems to be defaulting now correct. You don't, when you're printing a B sheet, you're not gonna have to go over and hit modify and choose your page. Should have done it to start, but I wanted the big, being able to store a bunch of paper in there. And I was never able to figure out how to get that thing to recognize tray 4. But, so you're gonna have to switch some papers. B sheets are now in tray 3. 2 is an A sheet, 4 is A sheets also. And it's an overflow. So it's gonna use 2 and 3 as you print. I don't think it'll affect you folks because the printer is automatically choosing the correct tray. But hopefully we get those printing problems that are out of there. Remember, if you do not use an 11 by 17 as a print, you're still gonna get an error message and it's gonna try and feed you through that self-feed page. Okay. So you gotta use letter or 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17. Don't use legal, don't use 12 by 18 for your B sheets. And I think you'll find that works pretty well.
You just use our same ones that did before.
I think the ones you got saved should work just fine.
Yes.
And the printer makes the adjustment. All right, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Put those pencils away. Now we're using a mouse.
Well, now we have it.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know, I'll tell you what, to help you out so you can go through your templates, let's all update our templates sometime today. I'll list all the variables up here.
Okay, that's all this is gonna do. Perfect.
I don't-
Can we do it like after lunch?
Yeah, no, that's good. So I'm just gonna go through them all right now, write them again, make sure I have them.
Another day of beach to party. No? You know, we look like because I got a